read some of the stuff from page, the child abuse policy. There's not a page number, but it's about halfway through. There's a few things I'm just going to highlight. The video explains pretty much everything, so I just want you to kind of know what our policy is here included with that. We are required by law to report anything that we think, any suspected abuse. We're mandated reporters. So I'm just going to read that. State law requires any person who suspects that a child has been physically or sexually abused or neglected to report it promptly to the Wisconsin Department of Health and Human Services and or Lynn Township Police Department or the Camper's home county. Specifically in regards to camp, any reports will be completed only by the executive director, program director, or the nurse. So if you are going to report suspected abuse, you will go either to the executive director, program directors, that's Ross, Andy, or the nurse, and that's it. So you don't need to talk to anyone else about it. You need to go straight to them. And then once you have told them, reported it to them, it needs to be kept confidential. So once again, no one else needs to know about it. It needs to be between you and who the person you reported it to. You don't discuss it with other staff members and don't investigate it after you've made the report. So leave that to the Department of Health and Human Services. And then the executive director, Ross, Andy, or the nurse will be responsible for any questioning of camper staff, etc. So if there's any follow-up that they feel like they need to do, they will. Otherwise, they'll report it, and then the Department of Health and Human Services will do follow-up. The next page, on the bottom of the page we're just at, it goes into prevention. Meaning we do written applications, interviews, telephone, personal interviews, references. We'll do any, if not all of those things. You guys have all gone through an application process and had some sort of interview in some fashion with me or with Andy. And then we will take care of the follow-up report. The last thing is about if there is ever an incident that happens at camp that is reported, and there happens to be media or press that comes out, that press will only be, there'll be access for them in the Northwoods Hideaway, and the only person that is able to discuss anything with press is Ross. So if there happened to be press that were on here, on ground, you would direct them to the Northwoods Hideaway, and Ross would be the only person that can talk to them. Okay? So that is that. If you have any questions about the video or about any of our policies, please ask. A couple things that go along with that are just some camper kind of, some of the safety kind of guidelines we have, and that's a couple pages earlier. We're under health, safety, and emergency plans. The guidelines for us as we relate to campers in an effort to protect the camp staff and ministry from undue and unfounded accusations regarding inappropriate moral behavior, the following will take place. In relation to campers and counselors, the counselor during daylight hours when engaging in one-on-one conversations with the camper will do so in a public place and not in the confines of a cabin. So anytime you are going to do one-on-one with your campers, which we're going to talk about today, and we ask you to do, it needs to be out in the open where other people can see you. That's to protect yourself from any accusations, as well as to protect the camper. It says during daylight hours, but like it's evening time, and the same thing. Never be alone with the camper in any situation. So if the camper needs to go to the bathroom and you're taking them, you need to take someone else with you. So you always need to have two people with you, so you're never alone. If a counselor must visit a camper who is alone in the cabin of a nurse's station, he will do so only accompanied by supervisory personnel. In relation to campers and other campers, the counselor should be constantly aware of any inappropriate expressive physical behavior between any two campers under his or her supervision. All staff will watch for inappropriate or sexually suggestive speech or joking between campers, so if you see it, stop it. Don't let it go. Stop it right away. And then upon any such suspicion or observation, the counselor will notify his or her supervisor for further discussion and necessary action. So that would be me, Andy, Jason, Brittany, whoever your supervisor is. That's who you're going to want to notify right away. Skits, jokes, or costuming which are intended to assume the appearance of the opposite sex must be done in an appropriate way. If you have questions about that, please ask. And then a little bit, some of the other stuff we're just going to really quickly touch base with. You guys are all going to get counselor manuals. If you're a full-time college staff counselor, you will get one that you'll have all summer. If you're a volunteer counselor, you'll have one in your cabin the week that you're there. And in the counselor manual, it discusses different things like homesickness and talks more in depth with child abuse than what's in the staff manual. Different stuff like that, camper safety, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to touch on a few things. And then I do, like in the staff manual, it is expected that you have either read it all now or do read it before you sign it, which should be done shortly. So just some safety kind of information in the staff manual on that same page of health, safety, and emergency plans. General tips, preventative medicine is the best kind. So these are just some things that for you guys to either be aware of or noticing. Everyone must wear shoes at all times unless you're in the water. If you're in the water, then you don't need shoes, but otherwise you should be wearing shoes. That includes your campers. Notice campers' eating habits. Make sure they're eating something at every meal and not just filling up at the snack shop. That's really important because a lot of kids won't. Or they'll just go eat candy at the snack shop and not be hungry for dinner. And as counselors, you need to be aware of what they're eating and when they're eating and that they're eating healthy food. I mean, our food in the dining room is kid food, but it's important that they eat that. Hydrate or die. It gets hot in the summer. Make sure that you and your campers are drinking enough water each day. This is really important, especially with the little kids. So like with our primary camp, our junior camp, our day camp, they may not think themselves that they need to be drinking water. They probably won't. Or they may just drink sugar drinks, so like sodas and juice, and not getting water. So when you're at your table, a lot of counselors will do for every 1 cup of sugary drink you drink, you need to drink a cup of water. So you're making sure they're getting enough water in their system, because otherwise they can get dehydrated. They're running around being really active, and we don't want them to get dehydrated and go to the nurse's station. We want them to play. Some other special things to watch for: any sign of illness or contagious disease, fever, headache, sore throat, drainage from nose, eyes, or ears, inflamed eyelids, and any of that should be reported to the nurse. We have a nurse each week. Most of the weeks we'll have 2 nurses, and the nurse's station is just right down on the main walk driveway area to the right. So she always will have a post of where she is if she's not in the nurse's station. And then also notice any unsafe conditions that might contribute to camper or staff accidents. In the counselor manual, which you guys don't have, that's okay, you can look at it later. Just a couple things regarding sickness and ill health. As a counselor, it's your task to be aware of the general health of your camper. So you really do need to be paying attention every day. If they're, like I said, if they're getting enough food, if they're getting enough water, if they're getting a cold, or if they're getting sick, or allergies, or different things like that. You need to be aware of that when you're in the cabin with your campers. If your camper develops any kind of sickness, report it to the nurse. Here's something else, report any falls or accidents to the nurse, no matter how minor you feel it is. Because sometimes there's some things that you may think are really not a big deal, that maybe they really are, and are going to develop into something that could be worse. So just, if it's minor, but if you think it's minor, still report it. Let's see. Oh, the other thing that's in here that I'm not actually going to read is homesickness. There's a whole section in your counselor manual from pages 7 to 9 on homesickness. So as a counselor, this is something that you do really want to read. And homesickness doesn't just happen to little kids. When I was a counselor, I had an 8th or 9th grader that was homesick. and ended up going home halfway through the week. Her mom came and picked her up, but I didn't even know she was coming. And so I was really confused at why her mom was there. But it does happen, and so that is a really beneficial section to read as you are counseling and how to deal with homesickness. I never got homesick, so this is really helpful for me because I don't understand it. It's not something I can really relate to, so especially if you don't ever get homesick, that might be helpful. That's basically everything that I'm going to go through. Like I said, everything as a whole staff that you need to know is in the staff manual, but for counselors specifically, you'll get, like I said, a counselor manual that you'll keep with you the whole week that you're there. And then for college staff, you'll keep